We've all been there before. The client gives you one location, one space, and you need to come up with multiple different unique looks. In this video, we're gonna break that down, and it's actually really quite simple what you can achieve with the exact same equipment, but we'll show you how you can get 3 entirely different looks all within an hour from each other. This is actually taken from a series of videos we've done for our new course, CinePath Pro, taught by both Nik Pilecki and I. And I actually learned a ton of new stuff from Nik while we were filming this, so I'll be putting that into this video. I love that I can be this far into my career and still be learning new techniques, new ways of making films. Let's jump into it. The first look you can get out of most spaces that have windows is just an open, natural daylight. This is where you just embrace the set of windows, but the key is to have a very big, large key to go alongside those windows. It can be tempting to use natural light, but if you're working on a client project or a documentary that has long interviews, you're gonna wanna control that lighting as much as possible. This doesn't mean that you go tint the windows like we showed you in our last video with Stefano Ferrari, but you should have a very large key source so that you're able to have the same even lighting on your character's face.
In general, when I'm lighting a face, you can come at the side of a face with a much harder light than you can as you move around front. So by that, I mean this window light here, while it is not hot or like harsh, it is soft light, it's still sunlight bouncing off snow, bouncing off buildings, but I'm okay with it coming in at the sideline because it almost like defines the features of the nose, the eye sockets, like it helps give a pop to the hard definition features of the face.
In this case in the video, we went back and forth with what backlighting to use, and the one tip I can give you around that is usually less is more with backlighting. The more intense you add the backlighting, the more it is perceived that you are in a studio.
Honestly, these days, I'm like, my hair light has to be subtle. Because right now what we have here in this shot to me is natural, and I love natural cinematography. To me, it's a stronger flex that you can make people go like, wait, where is his light coming from?
This first setup is really about minimalism. So we tried to clear the space as much as possible, got rid of the carts. We did leave some of those boards behind our subject's head, but they are so blurred out at this point, and it has this nice even black and white tone that it does still feel minimalist. Another thing I want to point out is this extremely professional high-end lens filter setup that we had with our gaff tape. It is, I'm just kidding, it's terrible. That was because we forgot one of our step-up rings.
You're joking, right?
And you got to learn that in CinePath Pro.
Perhaps we can put it on B&H.
Point number 2, once you've done this natural setup, you want to actually shut all the windows. Now we're going for a day for night tungsten evening look. And what's great is with these windows, we still had a little bit of crack of light coming out, and you can do this as long as you're not seeing the environment so that it's obvious that it's day. You can let a bit of that blue ambient light come through and it begins to feel like moonlight. So we shut all of our windows, and then we white balance. And here's the key with your white balance is you don't go all the way to 3200 to match the tungsten. You actually want to leave some of the warmth in that light. So you go to 4000 on your camera. This way your blues are more blue, and as Nik mentions, your yellows are more yellow. The warmth of the tungsten comes through.
What that does is it turns your daylight blue, and then when you add warm elements like our practical lamps, our key light here, the kind of like tube that's acting as a backlight, your lights will go slightly warm, but having that blue as an anchor in the background will even further make the perception of that warmer. So what we're using here is color contrast to kind of sell like, oh, this could pass as an evening look.
So we've reversed and we've actually pointed towards the windows. We've embraced more of them. And by pointing at the windows, we can see some of that moonlight just peeking through, even though this is the middle of the day. And now, just because we shut all the lights off, we still do need to control the environment as much as possible. One of the tools that all DPs should have, and Nik always keeps in his kit, is twinkle lights. We actually just threw these on a table in the back, and they add another little layer of texture. It's incredible. Working with a professional cinematographer like Nik, he always has just a bucket of different lamps and lights in his car at all times for any shoot. He's never a victim of the location that he's in. He never acts like filmmaking's happening to him. He makes the filmmaking happen. He gets in there and he changes the environment, including that we had these big white cabinets. We made sure to throw up some of these giant blackboards on there, the just foam core that's black, just to control that lighting a bit more because our key light was bouncing off of that and it was giving us a fill light that we weren't keen for. Now, one of the other ways to think about when you're changing these environments is just making sure that the actual lighting quality that lands on your character's face is different. So for this day for night look, we went more contrasty, so it feels very different to this first daylight look.
And one thing that I never want to get confused with, like, this isn't a dark image. This has selectively dark parts to it. So if you look at the key light and the practicals, they're still sitting like very warm or very high in the waveform. So if we're looking at the waveform, we still have spikes of highlights. It isn't that the whole thing is sitting below 30 IRE. We're selectively telling the viewer like, hey, here's some interest points, and I want to make sure that the face is the thing we focus on.
If you're enjoying this type of tutorial, and if you want to take your career path from going from just being a good shooter to a full-time DP, we've created CinePath Pro. This is a step-by-step process to remove all the confusion and uncertainty out of a fulfilling career path as a cinematographer. So many of us have been shooting for many years and we know how to make something look good, but we haven't broken through to that level of filmmaking that we always dreamed about early in our career. This is what CinePath Pro is about. We go into depth with Nik Pilecki, breaking down each step along the way, stuff that's just not taught anywhere. And one thing you're gonna get is guaranteed feedback on your work if you're in CinePath Pro. And you'll actually get to do bi-weekly calls with Nik and the other cinematographers in the course. So make sure you don't miss out. It's gonna be on sale for a limited time starting on May 11th. That's part of our whole rush week. Everything in AOD is gonna be on sale. And oh, of course, I almost forgot. We have a giveaway. I totally forgot about this. It's that time again. We're doing a giveaway. We're gonna be giving away a full set of the Samara C lenses, as well as an FX30. I don't have it here right now, but I have the top handle, so you can believe me, there'll be an FX30 right there. Beautiful, look at that beautiful FX30. Part of the reason why we don't actually have it here is we're gonna ship it to you, so you don't have to pay all those tariffs.
That's tariff.
But that is our next giveaway. We've given away tons of cameras in the past, so don't miss out your chance. All the information is down below. Now, the last way to get a whole new look out of the room is to just flip the camera. Do a 180. Wherever you were pointing at before, put the camera where the subject was and point the other direction. This takes a little time, but what's great is I call this flip it and mess it. This is where you wanna look into a different part of the room, but make sure it feels different than that other space. And that just isn't because it has a different background. That means that the environment and the objects around are different. So we pointed into the kitchen. This wasn't a full 180, but more of a 90-degree change. But in this environment, we left some more of the objects in the space. We added a slash of light on the wall behind us. And if you look, our key lighting is the exact same as the first setup. Nothing has changed on our subject. I think we had the identical look, but the environment is entirely different.
From there, the lighting, we have two kind of harder lights in the background doing right to left motivation. So you can see some of that streaking there. And then that kind of gives motivation to our key light here, which is this nice big soft IntelliTech again that we have wrapped around. And then we're kind of hitting Lauren with a side tube, which is edging out the definition on her face, like around the nose rim, in the eye sockets. And then a 3/4 backlight. We have a 600X there that is kind of giving this glow over her left shoulder.
And if you want the look to be more dramatic, you can add some negative fill in. But of course, the client will often say, oh, this feels too dark and moody. So you can easily flip that negative fill and just have some passive bounce coming back onto your subject's face to fill that up and have less of a contrast ratio. So to summarize those, use daylight, embrace it with a giant key light. Then point towards the windows, shut them, but leave a little creak coming through, and embrace tungsten lighting at 4000. And lastly is flip it and mess it. Change that room, do a 180, and add a bunch of objects, or just make it less minimalist. That doesn't mean to make the room messy, but have some things on standby, like some plants or a slash of light like we had in the background, or you can use the E-Fleck to get some specular highlights. These are some quick ways for you to make the room feel a bit different so that you can just be in one space. And as you see, our cameras only ever moved maybe 10 feet between the two different locations, but we had entirely different looks. All right, I hate goodbyes, but I love, who do I love? Whenever I do this, it's as if I don't love anything. It's like I'm the Grinch. I have to like think deep down, but do love all brand buds. They keep you quite regular. I'm not sponsored by them, but made the transition recently. My day is way more efficient. All right, see you in the next one.